Another episode of the Cubbie Corner, looking a little less tropical this week. I'm Max Toma. That's Brennan King. BK, looks like you're in indoors, and it looks a little darker than last week.
We are back in studio here in Indy. Actually flew home yesterday, so we're recording this on a Wednesday. So if we went with our usual Tuesday, we would be tropical. But no, we are back in studio. NFL Combine down here in Indy, and Big Ten. Hey, your Wisconsin Badgers, man. Perfect timing too. I'm glad we're doing it today for your Badgers.
Huge night for the Badgers last night. That's one of the. How about Jason Benetti with Madison has become a glass factory. What a call! Good. That Chucky Hepburn triple off the bank shot there. But yeah, I mean, I was gonna say I'm happy we delayed a day because I didn't want the jealousy of looking at your face with palm trees and sunshine. And I assume you don't have the little Mai Tai next to you, and there is no umbrella drink this week.
No, there's not. But I think you were getting more compliments than I was because of the palm trees, because of your lei. I think the lei was a very popular piece that you threw on. So
yeah, and I found that probably 5 minutes before we started recording last week. So that was a good find. So I think the biggest thing for us to cover before we get to your interview with Levi Jordan, who was one of my first ever interviews when I started working here a couple of years ago, but is the news for us. You said recording Wednesday. The news yesterday for Major League Baseball canceling the first two series. Opening day is going to be pushed back, and just re-emphasizing to minor league baseball fans in South Bend and everywhere, minor league baseball unaffected. No one from the 40-man roster can play. But hey, opening day set in stone, April 8th, 132 game season. It's set in stone. It is what it is. That's not going to change. And just kind of re-emphasizing to our fans and listeners.
Yeah, I thought the news was somewhat expected. I mean, I'm not necessarily a pessimist by nature, but I think you would agree that with just how everything has gone, to be an optimist about the situation wouldn't really make sense, right? I mean, everybody wanted it to get done, but as you said, anybody that's looking to get their baseball fix, minor league baseball is pretty close to most people, right? It's for most people, there's a minor league baseball park within an hour or two. Absolutely. So for those around the 574, obviously Four Winds Field, April 8th, it's the place to be. Even around the state of Indiana, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis. I mean, you can go to Illinois, you can go to Ohio, you can go to Michigan, you can watch minor league baseball. And that's what's great about it. I thought it's a good point too, what you brought up about the 40-man roster, because for us per se, that shouldn't be a problem at all. If you're talking like from a AAA perspective in the Indianapolis Indians, they're going to have to bring up a bunch of AA dudes.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to watch. But, for the South Bend Cubs, Max, I think we're in great shape. I think the excitement around the team looks terrific. You obviously don't know who for sure is going to be at Four Winds Field come April, but just looking ahead and seeing the names that were a level below last year, it's exciting.
I think it's going to be a really exciting time. And if you want to get your Cubs fixed, every Cubs affiliate starting that week. Iowa's starting a few days before us. And then on April 8th, you get the Pelicans, us, and Tennessee all kickstarting the same day. So a lot of young talent. It's going to be a blast this season. I'm really excited. And single game tickets going on sale a week from as of us recording right now. So next Wednesday, March 9th, single game tickets. And if you want to spice up that first game opening day, you can go VIP package as well, BK.
Yeah, only 200 of those VIPs are available. But the VIP package, I always feel like $35, that sells out in an instant. The home run porch seat, all you can eat picnic, a limited edition Cubs t-shirt, and 2 drink vouchers if you're 21 or older. That deal will not be around for long. And again, you're going to want to see opening day because, again, Max, as you just said, even though Iowa starts before and you get 3 levels starting on the same day, you can't look at the ESPN app or whatever and pull up Major League Baseball scores. The baseball that will be happening is going to be at the minor league level.
Absolutely. And, this weekend in South Bend, it's actually in the 60s. Obviously, we would love to have it in the 60s opening weekend. Opening day, I was just talking to Alex Cohen last week. They're up in Buffalo. Beginning of April. I don't know if Josh Allen's throwing out the first pitch, but it's gonna be a cold day in Buffalo, New York to open up the baseball season.
On a positive side, if I was AC, I would ask for the largest plate of traditional buffalo wings possible. Right. Yeah. I mean, opening day, it's probably going to be, no offense, it's going to be freezing probably.
Oh, yeah.
You need a large plate of wings.
Plus, it's, you have all those, you consume an unholy amount of wings on the Super Bowl. Then you got to kind of take a hiatus. I don't know if that hiatus is a couple months, but if it is, it's a great way to break it back in at the beginning of baseball season up in Buffalo.
Amazing.
So you got the chance to talk to Levi Jordan. Tell me about that conversation. Tell me about the man and the player that is Levi.
I think Levi is becoming slowly but surely just the classic guy in the Cubs organization that comes up and just hits the cover off the ball, no matter where he goes. And, I think a lot of people like to talk about, right, from 2016 against, your personal favorite team. I'm sorry. But
you can say it's not Voldemort.
It's okay. It's okay. The team isn't, it's not necessary to say, but Mike Montgomery threw the most important pitch in Chicago Cubs history. Arguably, Levi Jordan has the most important hit in South Bend Cubs history. The Midwest League Championship Series, that last game in Clinton, it was a 5-0 shutout, and the game-winning hit was Levi's big home run over the left field wall early on in that game. And, Levi had some injury problems in that 2019 campaign, but he came back after a really tough ankle injury and became the starting third baseman every day in the postseason. And what I love most about Levi, again, is that he adopts the saying that former hitting coach Paul McAnulty loved to say to everybody is you worry about where your feet are on one given day. You don't worry about tomorrow. You don't worry about where you were before. You don't worry about going to the big leagues. You worry about where your feet are today. And that's Levi, because he hit in South Bend. He hit in Tennessee. He hit in Iowa last year. It's actually really funny because when I was doing some Indianapolis Indians games last year, they were playing the I-Cubs and Levi's the starting third baseman. And, you get to tell those fun stories. So the human being, Levi Jordan, is somebody that I think everybody should want to be friends with because he's a spectacular guy. But again, just a really talented ball player that is turning into a steal for the Cubs. He's another post 30th round pick that's working out.
Yeah, and playing great. So you've heard it from BK a little bit about Levi. Now let's go to the interview with Brennan King and Levi Jordan.
This is the Cubbie Corner on SouthBendCubs.com. I'm Brendan King, happy to be joined by another 2019 Midwest League champion and the guy that owns, quite frankly, the most important hit in South Bend Cubs franchise history. That is Levi Jordan. He welcomes us from Arizona. Levi, great to be with you, my man. How are things going for you?
Awesome, BK. Thanks for having me on.
Happy to, brother. Give me your situation right now, because of course we know with the MLB lockout, the season will not be starting on time, but you yourself, Levi, even though you got to AAA-Iowa last year, which is an unbelievable accomplishment, congratulations to you. You're not on the 40-man roster. So your situation right now is you're preparing for normalcy.
Right. Yeah. I guess the benefit of being a minor leaguer right now is that we get going, without being affected by the organizations and the owners kind of going back and forth right now with the CBA. So, I'm down here at spring training, ready to report this week, and we'll get going with baseball stuff, I think, next week. So, kind of a weird time. A benefit goes to the guy who's not on the 40-man, and that's kind of me right now. So, we'll get to play ball this spring, and I'm excited for AAA opening day, or really whatever affiliate I end up in. But baseball is on the horizon for sure.
Now, before I ask you about getting on the field, you just got off the golf course, and I think this is the most important topic we'll touch on is how's the golf game?
Oh, it was terrible today, but I live in a place in the off season that, like, up in Washington, it's wet and it rains a lot, but we do get a chance to play golf a lot, and it's just one of those hobbies that I enjoy. It keeps me connected to the competitive side of baseball, which I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. So I go out there with a couple of buddies. We play, we make it fun, play games here and there against each other. And, none of us are like that good, but, we're still good enough to, make holes close and compete a little bit. So it's been fun for me to play golf. I've kind of picked that up as a hobby over the years. And, I'm no scratch by any means, but I can hold my own on a golf course.
See, I feel like that's the classic line for a golfer. And I say the same thing. We're like, I'm not that good, but still, like, you hit a bad shot. You're like, crap, you're cursing yourself out. You just get mad at yourself. You got to remind yourself, like, I'm such an average player.
Well, and the thing is, like, I don't practice nearly enough to really get frustrated over bad shots, because I'm like, like I don't practice. So like if I hit a bad shot, that could be expected, so I'm not throwing clubs by any means, but it does get frustrating when you go out there and you do the same stupid thing with your golf swing, 10 times in a row. But that's the competitiveness in me, I guess.
What's more frustrating, having trouble with your golf swing or your baseball swing?
Holy smokes. Probably baseball, because like that matters. The golf swing doesn't. So
Right.
like I could go out on a golf course, shoot 100 and life's going to go on, or I could shoot 70 and life is going to go on, like it has no effect or no impact on my future. But like baseball, if I'm struggling, like, like it's not ideal, but
man,
I don't, that's the beauty of my position in the organization right now is
Right.
that like, I don't have anything to lose. I was going to be done playing baseball after high school. I walked onto my college team and here I am in AAA, like kind of looking back in the rearview mirror and thinking like, so how crazy is it that I'm still playing baseball right now? So to be able to play with that looseness, I guess, has helped me along and, paid dividends in the end for me. So.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Levi. You're 26 years old, 29th round pick of the Cubs in your draft on the South Bend opening day roster in 2019. And one thing for sure, Levi, is Buddy Bailey gave you a chance to play, whether that was at second base, third base, or in Levi land in left field when you had that experience. But let's talk about last year, where I actually was in a pretty fun spot. Where last season I was calling some Indianapolis Indians baseball games, AAA, and they broadcasted all their road games remotely. So I was filling in for a random game. It was the Indians and it was the Iowa Cubs, and
No.
the Indians were on the road. I was doing the game remotely, so I would have loved to come say hi, but unfortunately I could not. But I remember I loved telling the story when you came to bat. You were starting that game, and I was able to tell the story about all the experiences either we've had together or you had in 2019
Yeah.
Cubs. So I thought it was awesome, first of all, that you were there, but secondly, you played more AAA games than AA games last year, and they gave you an opportunity in AAA. So I guess first of all, what was the transition like to AA baseball? Because I know that's usually the biggest step that a guy needs to take.
Yeah, I'm going to actually back you up even further. And we had that COVID year where none of us
Right.
played. And so we, I did the, I did the low A level with South Bend in, I think it was 19, right?
Championship, baby.
Yeah, that's right. So we did that in 19, and then 2020 came around and
Nothing.
we went to spring training, but then, we all went home, and we kind of figured like, oh, we'll be back in a month. And then that turned into like, oh, we'll maybe play in the summer, but it didn't. And so our off season, if that's what you want to call it, was like a full year and a half, almost 2 years. And I was super lucky to have the resources that I had to like basically I probably racked up 60, 70, 80 at bats over the course of the summer, because where I train is there's a lot of professional arms that throw out of the same building, and we kind of like got together and we worked on it. And long story short, like that year was when I kind of figured out some things in like my swing and in my game. And I really felt confident in the player that I was coming into 2021 spring training.
Mm-hmm.
And had a really good spring and was kind of anticipating breaking with the high A team, which was going to be South Bend, which I thought, how funny would that be to like, come back to South Bend after 2 years and play with the same team. But some things happened, and there was kind of a spot available on that AA roster that I took over, and played. It's funny you say the AA and AAA game totals, because I really felt like I was in Knoxville a lot longer than I was in Iowa. But I was hurt for a little bit through the AA. The first half of that season, I was kind of off and on dealing with a quad injury. But again, like felt like a new player, was super confident in who I was, and like put together a good half season, and then some pieces fell together, and it was kind of a perfect fit where I came back healthy and spent a week in AA, and then they called me up in August. And I will say, since you asked about the transition from level to level, I think that what's most impressive to me is how fine-tuned and how talented the players are at each level. Like there's very raw toolsy kind of guys in the lower levels that I've played against and with, young kids that like have such raw talent, you know, like can hit the ball 10 miles and can throw the ball super hard. But shoot, once I got to AA, it was like, all right, these guys have good stuff on the mound, really good stuff. You know, but I'm going to force them to come into my zone. You know, I'm going to force them to throw me strikes. I'm going to hammer them when they do. And then when I got to AAA, I was entirely exposed for a month and a half of like, they would throw their nasty curveball or whatever, and I would chase, and I would say, okay, like you fooled me there, you won't fool me again. But they would do it. They had the command to do it, and it was like an absolute headache for, shoot, you know, a good 40 days of just like not being stubborn enough to wait for my pitch. And so I gained a serious appreciation for like players that play at the AAA level and also the major league level. I was like, you know what, like same game, but these guys are really good at baseball. They're really good at what they do, and I'm impressed by it. And I hope one day I could be one of those players that people look at me and say, hey, you're really good at what you do, and you're really consistent about your approach at the plate and who you are as a player. So I'm learning, and I had a good second half of my AAA stint.
Right.
Like night and day difference between the first half and the second half in the 2 months I spent there. So something really good to build on. And I had a lot of people help me get to where I'm at. So, you know, sky's the limit. Just keep getting better and work as hard as I can.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not a baseball player, but that has to be part of the learning process, right? Unless you're Mike Trout or like Alex Kirilloff or some of the studs coming up, that you're probably not going to go straight into AAA and start hitting the cover off the ball. So that's part of the learning process, right? But
Brennan.
Brennan, that's true.
Brennan's first couple games,
he was mashing. I'll ask you about Brennan in a bit, but you brought up, Levi, about the training that you did in the COVID summer and taking steps. So compared to 2019, when people in South Bend last saw you, how are you a different player fundamentally from that time?
I think the largest improvement to my game over that year, that COVID year, was really grabbing and holding on to like who I was as a baseball player. Fundamentally, I cleaned some things up mechanically in the swing, you know, maybe got shorter, made better decisions at the plate. But the biggest thing for me was confidence and like a mentality at the plate, which I didn't have really from the day I got drafted in pro ball. I almost felt like I didn't belong, because I'm one of those players that doesn't make a roster because of my talent. It's usually I make a roster because of non-tools kind of things, you know, maybe something that has something to do with being a good teammate or can play a bunch of different positions, puts together a competitive at bat against whoever's on the mound, that sort of thing. I'm not going to hit, you know, a ton of homers. I'm not going to hit 350. But I embrace that as who I am as a player, and confidence wise decided I'm going to be the best Levi that I can be. And I think that freed me up in a lot of areas, like expectations wise. Like I didn't play in 2021 last season with any expectations from anybody, whether people had expectations of me or not. And I think that's kind of the label I have as a 29th rounder. It's kind of nice. Like nobody expects me to do great. You know, they're just kind of like, hey, he's a good baseball player. And, you know, getting myself to believe that has been a big step for me. I deal with, you know, kind of that self-doubt a little bit. And when that creeps in, especially against talented guys in the AA and AAA levels, like you're toast.
Yeah.
So it's a big step for me.
Yeah. And I'll never forget something that Paul McAnulty told me in my first year in South Bend. So I was 2018, the year before you got there. But Mac told me in like a one-on-one interview, because I asked Mac, because he was similar in a way where he got to the big leagues doing the same type of stuff. And I asked Mac how he kept his confidence. And I feel like what he said really epitomizes what you do. And here's what he said, Levi. He said he tried to worry about only where his feet were on a given day. Like he didn't think about the next level. He didn't think about what he did in the past level or what can come in the future. even at the highest level. He just wanted to worry about where he was. And I feel like that's what you did in South Bend. That's what you did in Tennessee. And that's what you're doing at the AAA level.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I've learned that from a couple different mental gurus, Ken Reviza being one of them. He, you know, kind of a Chicago legend in terms of the mental game. He actually came to our college back in 2018 and he talked to us before he passed away. And he said that. He said, hey, be where your feet are. And I took that to heart to mean like, shoot, I have no control over tomorrow, yesterday. It's just like, here's where I am. I'm going to deal with this moment right now. So I still need to get a lot better at it. Like I'm pretty good at it, but I just know that there are so many tough times ahead. That's just like how baseball is. Like there's so many failures ahead of me, but I don't have to worry about those yet. You know, I'll worry about those when I get there. But for now, it's like, you know, exactly what you said, just being where your feet are. It's good stuff.
Do you think about the similar types of players to you that have gotten the opportunities at the big league level for the Cubs? I think David Bodie's a good example. You know, Trent Giambroni, what he has done the last few years, I feel like you fit directly into that mold. So do you look at guys like that as guys you can build yourself up to?
I do. I had a lot of really good conversations with Trent in the AAA locker room. He sort of stepped up as a mentor for me in the best way, like letting me figure it out on my own, but also being there for me when I needed, like when I approached him for help, you know, like instead of being that veteran guy that like is super hands-on with the young new kid right away, he let me sort of figure it out. And then after a while, I would kind of go up to him and say like, hey, this is what's going on inside my brain right now. Like, how can you help me? And so Trent had a bunch of really good things to say. Another name that comes to mind is Andrew Romine. He spent a lot of time in the AAA locker room too. And he was another guy that really helped me sort of find my way in AAA. And so those two guys had an impact on me kind of changing my course in AAA. Like, again, like going from such a bad start to a pretty solid finish. So I haven't spent much time talking to David Bodie, but a lot of staff in the Cubs organization have kind of made that comparison known to me too. From what I know, he's a grinder. He works really hard. Maybe not a guy that's going to stand out on the stat sheet, but like he's going to give you a chance to win baseball games. And that's who I want to be. That's the role I want to play for the Chicago Cubs or for any team in the future. That's the part of baseball that I love the most, is winning games. And like, I tried so hard in South Bend that year to get back from being injured because I knew that we had a chance to play postseason baseball. Yeah. And once we had that chance, like your team unifies in the locker room and the vibe and the energy changes. And like all of a sudden nothing matters except for winning. And that's such a cool atmosphere to be in. And I love that part about it.
Well, let's talk about some South Bend Cubs baseball. Levi, 2019 Midwest League champion. At the start of the interview, mentioned, you know, a lot of people associate Mike Montgomery throwing the most important pitch in Chicago Cubs history in Game 7 in the World Series. But look, man, 5-0 in that last Clinton game to win the Midwest League championship. You had the game-winning hit on that 3-run bomb. Or was it 2-run bomb? 2 or 3, regardless. What's that?
You're giving me too much credit. It was a two-run.
Oh, whatever.
Started the scoring. It wasn't even that big of a.
Okay, well, still, it went down as the game-winning hit. Regardless, right. You know, that's what people remember. I mean, your home run, Andy's home run, and then Glowicki closing it out in the 9th. But I guess if you can sum up just your 2019 experience and how special that team was, and as you look back on it, you know, what memories are you going to take most as you go along in your career?
Yeah, it was our first. For our 28 or 18 draft class, it was kind of our first full season. And you look at a guy like Weber and a couple, like maybe Cole, those guys played a lot of games. Like they were there all year. I don't think they ever got injured. Like they were just there kind of grinding the whole time. And they were kind of the heart and soul of our team going forward. But it was that piece of it that I knew was going to be fun about it. Was like a lot of our friends and, you know, closest teammates from the 18 draft class were on that team. And so once we got within striking distance of like making it to the postseason, and then like, looking around and saying like, hey, like we could win this thing. Like we could for sure, like,
Yeah.
Win it. And the coolest part about it was the year before we swept the postseason too with Eugene.
Mhm.
And so once we won it in South Bend, I think we were something crazy like 10-0 in the postseason with that draft class. So it was a really special year for me. And of course, it's you win a league in any level of baseball, you're going to remember it for a long time. The other thing I'll say is learning a lot from the legend Buddy Bailey. I mean, like, not everybody in the world gets to play for that guy, and he's coached a lot of players. He's been around for such a long time. Not a knock on how old he is or anything, but no, he was an awesome coach to learn from, and just like listening to him tell stories about players that he had coached who maybe like struggled to start and then ended up being big leaguers. And that was his way of encouraging me at certain times, was like, hey man, like you have to understand that the struggle is temporary, but like you have a chance to be a really good baseball player. You just have to like keep working at it. So he gave me a lot of information like that. That was super helpful for me. And, the whole staff was just an awesome staff, and we all clicked as players and, got a ring because of it. So,
Yeah. Well, one of the GOATs for sure, the active winningest manager still in minor league baseball. He's going to be back with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans next season. I was talking with Webb about this about a month ago, where, on those hot summer days in South Bend, you're taking however many fungos and one after another. You're switching from third to second. You go take some outfield Levi or whatever. But again, the thing about it was all for a reason, and that was to develop you as a baseball player, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, and his what I had to realize was that he was doing what was best for me at that time, and I might not have thought it was the best thing for me at that time, especially taking your 700th ground ball on your 18th consecutive day. You're kind of like, all right, like I've had enough, but he knows what he's doing, and it helped me develop a routine to where when I show up to the ballpark, even at the AAA level, there's no coach, there's no player, there's no staff member holding you accountable to get your work in. They say, hey, whatever you need, get done. And so going through that phase with Buddy helped me figure out, okay, what do I need to get ready for a game? And what do I need on day 2, day 3, day 4 of a series to make sure I'm still ready for the game? But that was something that I had to learn through Buddy. So he helped me understand that.
Did you ever have a favorite Buddy saying?
We used to kind of mock the way he talked all the time, but like not out of a disrespectful way. I couldn't come up with a quote off the top of my head. But like he's like, honest to God, he's like one of the first faces I see every spring training.
Yeah.
Huge smile on his face,
It's always the smirk though, like one little
Yeah, you can't quite get the corners of his mouth all the way up, but he knows who I am. Like he is excited to see me, and he's behind me, he's in my corner. Really good coach to have. That's
sweet. The clincher, so the infield was you, Webb, Clayton Daniel, and Jake Slaughter, and I just think that infield, man, I don't know if you're gonna find like a better just defensive hard-nosed infield anywhere else in the system. That was awesome.
Yeah, Clayton had a really good year that year, I remember.
He was in a trade the year after. That's the thing about, like, they got a piece for him.
Is he still playing? I don't know if
Dodgers.
he's still playing.
Yeah, Dodgers, I think.
Yeah, I know. I just didn't know if, because it's been a year since then. I just didn't know if he still had a job. But I would imagine he does, because he, hits line drives every single at bat, and he plays a solid second base. So, and Slaughter too is a horse over there at first. You'd be surprised how versatile Slaughter actually is. He can play like second base pretty well, and third base too. He's like one of those guys you want in your lineup when games kind of matter, because like when he plays first, like he's going to keep the ball in front. Like he's kind of got that team mentality, and Weber's solid as usual. He's a great shortstop, and he's learning the position really well. And he was kind of baptized by the fire. He played second base all of his college career, and then all of a sudden, hey, like, you're going to be our everyday shortstop. So Yeah, no, it's fun infield. We work well together too, the four of us, but unfortunately we'll never all play together again.
Right. Well, those are the memories you take. And you know what? This
Right.
was a question I asked you when we first met. Very early on in the season. I actually remember the conversation. We were standing, you were taking BP in West Michigan, and like we were just meeting for the first time. And first of all, I asked you how to pronounce your hometown name, Puyallup.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Puyallup. Yeah. Like church pew.
Years later, I still got it. I knew I'd still anyway. But I asked you because you were already changing like 2 weeks in, like second to third every day. So what's the approach got to be like when you're the super utility guy and you're asked to play different positions sometimes every day when you come to the park?
Yeah, I tell this to the young kids that I coach in the off season all the time. I say, like, if you're in line behind 4 shortstops, go get a different glove, because on in a 9 spot or 8, you got 9 guys to hit and 8 of those are playing a position. Granted that there's a DH. Your way into the lineup is a spot on the field that like needs a guy that can play defense. And some people like think about it the other way, hey, if you can hit, they're going to find a place for you, sort of thing. Right. And that's very true. Don't get me wrong. But I learned at an early age, I think I was a freshman in high school when the varsity team had a vacancy in like right field. And I wanted to play varsity so bad that I like told the coach, I said, hey, I can play right field. And so he put me out there for like a couple, defensive drills and maybe like an inter squad here and there. And I actually ended up playing right field and as a freshman, and I got DH'd for our pitcher hit, but I played right field just because like I was better than the other option, better than the other option they had of like playing the right fielder to also like hit and then maybe the pitcher DHing or something. And so, yeah, I could have played JV and like went and played shortstop and, or like said, hey, the only option for me is to play shortstop. I did it in football too. I was a quarterback going into high school, and then the scout team needed a receiver. And so I said, I'll do it. And I went on scout team, carved up the starting defense. And the next day I was like a starting receiver. So I don't know. I guess it's just my nose to like want to play. Like, I don't want to sit the bench. I don't want to wait my turn. Like, I just want to find a way into the lineup. And for me, I think that's the value of playing a lot of positions, is that like, it gives you opportunities to do so. And maybe you're not the first option in those spots. Like maybe Weber's the shortstop, but he needs a day off. So I play shortstop for a day. And then the next day he comes back in, but the third baseman takes a day off. So I go over to third, so I think there's a place for that kind of guy on a big league club, especially National League. Maybe not anymore with the DH, but
That's true.
that was a big blow for me, Brendan. I don't know. My path was kind of the guy that, pinch hit for the pitcher, defensive replacement late. I don't know. It's not looking good for me.
Hey man, I think with that competitive spirit, you'll have no problem. But that leads into the last baseball question I want to ask you, where this may be hard to answer. I know we talked about earlier with the saying of like, you worry about where your feet are today, but again, what you said to start the interview, you were ready to stop playing after high school. You walk on, 29th round pick, win a championship, taste AA, taste AAA, have some success late season. Have you thought about and have you envisioned putting on the pinstripes at Wrigley?
Oh, every day. I mean, That would be a dream come true for me. But I will say this: if my baseball career ended tomorrow, I'd have no regrets. Like I gave it all I had. I got to meet some really cool people, some fascinating coaches and players. I've played in some really big, important baseball games. I've played in some blowouts. Like, I've really done it all, and that last, I wouldn't call it bucket list thing for me. That last dream of mine is to, play in the MLB if we are going to ever have an MLB season. But I visualize my first at bat at Wrigley Field almost every time I hit. It's just something, it's part of my routine. It's just kind of like visualizing what it's going to be like when I hopefully finally get that chance. It's been a dream of mine since I was a kid. I think the dream when I was a kid was to play at Safeco Field, or T-Mobile Park now, but
right.
as a Mariner, but shoot, any team that's going to give me an opportunity to play big league baseball is, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it my all.
Yeah. Well, I believe in you, brother. Have you thought about this year what your walk-up song is going to be?
I kind of want to keep it the same as last year. You know what it was last year?
No.
Okay, so
I remember the South Bend one, like the Flume.
yeah, that was I gave that one probably a 5 out of 10. But last year,
it the whole year, you could have changed it.
I know, as a joke, it wasn't as a joke. It was just kind of like I showed up. I had a catchy song in my head, and I was like, you know what? Like, I should walk up to this. And it was Taco Tuesday by Migos. And it was like, give it a listen, because like from the start,
I know
it's like, awesome.
Yeah.
And it was funny because the Smoky Stadium, they did Taco Tuesdays, which like worked perfect, because I would hit, second, and Taco Tuesdays playing on the speakers. And I did not expect to get as many. I mean, I'm tooting my own horn here, but I got so many compliments from like opponent players. They're like, dude, your walk-up's sick. So, and it was cool too, because as the year went on, quite a few of my like home runs that I hit early on were like to the opposite field. And one thing that Brendan did that was kind of cool was any guy that had an opposite field home run, an Oppo Taco, that year he bought us all the obvious shirt that had the taco emoji on it with Oppo on it. So I, on Tuesdays, I'd wear that shirt around even in AAA, and I kept the same walk up in AAA. A little embarrassing in AAA, because I like for a month was striking out twice every game, and they're like, who's this guy hitting 150 walking up to Migos like he owns the place? But I don't know, I might keep it the same this year. I might mix it up. I will say it's like it consumes baseball players for months before the season.
I know. It's
like,
unbelievable.
It's such a big thought, and it doesn't really matter that much, but it is funny how much time we spend thinking about what song we're going to walk up to.
Well, so. I think if you make the bigs and you go Taco Tuesday for your walk up, you'll get like instant like Barstool repost or something.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I don't know. We'll see.
Last thing. So as I told you off the air, the NFL Combine is in Indy, and you're a Seahawks guy, I would imagine.
Yep.
Right. So is Russell Wilson going to be the Seahawks starting quarterback in August?
Oh man, I listened to like sports talk radio.
Well, you don't want to listen to Indy radio because they're begging for him.
Really? They're saying he's going to go to Indy?
Well, I mean like locally, people are like, oh, like the Colts need to drop Carson Wentz and go get Russell Wilson. But if the Colts really want Russell Wilson, it's gonna be like 4 first-round picks. Seriously.
I mean, off the record, I think
you're on the record, so.
Well, if Russell Wilson hears this, tell him I'm sorry, but I think I ever since the like giant contract negotiation that he got, like I just felt like the Seahawks changed their identity. Like they were a winning, successful team because they played defense. And, the Legion of Boom with Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas, like that was, growing up through high school, that was when they went to the Super Bowl, twice in 3 years. And Russell Wilson was good because he only needed to be so good to win games. You know what I mean? Like, and he was clutch, and he's just a winner, that kind of guy. When he got paid, they started like expecting him to be Patrick Mahomes. And it's like that you're not him. You never will be Patrick Mahomes. You're a different style of quarterback. And so like ever since he got all that money, I was just kind of like watching the Seahawks take a nosedive. Do they need to get rid of him? No. Do they need a running game to support him? Yes. Like if they need to do anything, they probably need an offensive line. Oh my God, you're going to send this to Kate in Seattle ESPN radio, and I'm going to get fired.
No, that's safe with us. I mean, if somebody actually offers 4 first-round picks, I think they'd be crazy not to listen. 4 first-rounders? You could build a hell of a running game and offensive line with that.
With 4, okay. But then you don't have a quarterback.
Correct. Hey, Carson Wentz is available.
Who's the backup out there in Seattle? It's like
in Seattle. I don't know. Is it still Charlie Whitehurst? It's not, but yeah, that was the most random name I could think of. Also, super, like, if you ever want to win at like bar trivia, if it ever comes up, Russell Wilson, former Tri-City Dust-Up.
Oh, that's right. That was back when
Yeah.
the Rangers had that affiliate.
No, he
Or
was a Rocky, because my first year was in Boise,
Yeah.
and one of our coaches like coached Russell Wilson.
No way.
Yeah, kind of weird.
Wilson, did you like watch him play?
No, it was, so that was 2017. So like it was like just secondhand stories, but I forgot like when he last played. But your former Eugene Emerald, Little Northwest League.
My first professional home run was in Boise.
Interesting park.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm surprised you survived that place. Congrats on me.
It was a fun summer. That's what I'll hold you. That's Levi Jordan. This is the Cubbie Corner. Brendan King with you. Levi, wishing you all the best, my man, and I know everything's going to work out in your favor. Just keep working, and we're all rooting for you.
Thanks, BK. It's good to have guys in my corner.
That's Levi Jordan. This is the Cubbie Corner.
There you have it, Brendan King and Levi Jordan. Hey, before we head our separate ways, BK, I wanted to ask you, what are you looking forward to most about baseball back in the Bend on April 8th?
Well, as you said earlier to start the video, you would hope that it's a day just like today that we're experiencing in the state of Indiana, 60 degrees. But regardless of what it is outside, I think just once again, hearing the music when the doors open, it's a beautiful day for a ball game. The Cubs are on their way.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, every day is a beautiful day for a ball game, as you know. But
let's play too.
Let's do it. No, just getting back to the ambiance, I think, of the ballpark. And for me, it'll be my first full season since the pandemic started. So really look forward to that. You?
Well, first off, I'm going to talk to our boss, Chris Hagstrom, and see if we can send you back down to Florida before opening day, because you brought the warm weather back with you this week. So maybe you can do it again. We'll send you down to send you down to the 305 on April 1st and send you back. See if you can raise a.
Here's the thing about it, though. Here's the thing about it. So I went down to see my parents, obviously, but I went down to work the first IndyCar race in St. Petersburg. Great race. Scott McLaughlin picks up his first career IndyCar win. Beautiful day. I will not be.
Race. Sorry.
What?
I was doing the song for baseball, but beautiful day for a
there
race.
You go.
Doesn't really work well.
No, it doesn't. But I will not be taking questions on April 8th, because I still imagine that the farmer's tan I picked up from this past Sunday will still be present. So if anybody asks me about my farmer's tan, it will get a quick brush off.
Farmers tans are the way to go. We both grew up in the
I know,
state of Illinois, near Chicago. I'm sure we both had mean farmers tans.
Mean ones.
You know, actually, when I played baseball way back when, if you can imagine this body out there at center field, I actually always wore a batting glove on my left hand, even when I was fielding. So my batting glove tan on my left hand was just like at the end of summer. My left hand was just very much paler than my white. It was paler than my right. We're not going to record, okay?
It was a very pale white. How about that?
Yes, it was very pale indeed. So what am I looking forward to most?
Yes.
I just love opening day. I mean, you kind of hit it right there. But when the team takes the field for the first time, you know, all the familiar sights and sounds and smells, the five senses here at Four Winds Field, they hit you with all of them. But just that familiar feeling of knowing, hey, it's that time of year. This is such a special time of year, April. First off, you got the Masters, you got the Final Four, you got the NBA, NHL playoffs, and you got the start of baseball season. And there's nothing better than opening day out there on the diamond. I mean, hey, if I could be on the diamond, I'd love to be there. But if I couldn't, I'd love to be in the booth with my man Brendan King. And that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Just calling some baseball and seeing the stars of tomorrow.
It's gonna be fun, man. But I think you hit the nail on the head there. The Masters coming in April.
Yeah, you know what's funny is
those are my favorite commercials.
When January hits and it's snowy and there's 8 inches
coming in April,
and I can't move my 2008 used Honda Accord, and they play that first Masters ad, you're like, oh, sunshine is around the corner.
The world is healing.
Yes, exactly. Well, there you go. Man. Great interview for Brennan King and Levi Jordan, and another fun episode. Less tropical, but just as fun. We hope you enjoyed it. I'm Max Tubman. That's Brennan King. And we'll see you again next week.